Hey y'all, Jammin' Sam here, and I wanted to go over how to restore a DK track. So I'm going to use the Game Over tune from DK2 just to show you real quick how it's done. Now, first thing you want to do is open FL Studio and make sure it's 32-bit because 64-bit can't open sound fonts. So use the 32-bit version for this. And you might need sound fonts because some of these are sound fonts. So the second thing you do is open SPC tool and you find the RSN of what you want. So I got this .rsn from ocremix.org. It's basically all the songs in a collection, and you can open it with SPC tool. You can also, I think you can use a ROM too if you don't have that. I'm not sure, but I think it's a thing. So open your whatever file you may have, and all the songs will be in a list right here. And so you find the one that you need. We need the Game Over tune, so I'm just going to go scrub through these. It's probably going to be down here somewhere. Opening. Game Over. Here we go. So now this represents the 8 channels. This 0 to 7 represents the 8 channels that the game can play. 8 channels of sound. And so if you play it now, here we have the left and right channel amplitude for each of them. We have an envelope, which is basically like fade in, fade out of each note. And so that's going to show you in real time how much amplitude the wave is having. And here's the source, that's which sample it's using. So if you want to know what this sound is, you look at 20, and then you go to 20 in this window right here, and you can play it back. Now, rate right here is the pitch that it's using, and it's calculated in hertz, so it doesn't really mean anything to us. What we're really looking for is if it has vibrato or pitch bends up, it's going to change. So see how it changes with the notes. If there's vibrato, it'll be moving all around, or if it's bending, it'll be doing that. So that's just a way to see that. If there's an E, it means there's reverb on it, so you know to just maybe put some reverb on that track. Now you can right click each different channel to solo it, or you can mute it. And that's basically how SPC tool works. And you're going to use this to show you what's going on in the track, so you can see. And then so you look at number here, we have track 50, so we need to get the blueprint for the song. So you go to track blueprints. This is in the Dropbox folder, which you can find the link to in the description, and it's going to be this one, and then track blueprints, and then DKC2. I just have it in FL Studio, like I have it in the browser set up so that I can access it from here. But you drag it, find 50, and you drag it anywhere you like. And then I always uncheck add fruity LSD because that's going to make it give you another channel of sound, and you don't want that. So now if we play this back, sounds like a garbled mess because none of these instruments that it's pointing to are the real thing. Drum tracks point to melodic elements and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy these to the waves that they represent. So Now the first thing we want to do is drop it in the playlist. If you don't know FL Studio, the playlist is basically where you put together your song based on building blocks from patterns. So you have pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3. You put notes in here, and then you go and you put that pattern into the playlist, and you can put all sorts of patterns you want and build your song. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to say, okay, first thing we want to do is make sure that there's no empty space beginning here. This track doesn't have an empty space, but sometimes there will be, actually on most tracks, there will be a little empty space right here, and which will throw all the beats off. Everything will be a little bit out of time. It won't snap right into the grid that you see nicely here. Now this one's snapped in because it's in time, because it's just the game over track, but a lot of them don't have that. So what you're going to want to do is you go to, if you try to, you can't really cut it off because your snap is too big. So you go to the green magnet here and you select 1/4 of a step. That's what the amount of space that'll usually be extra here. And you go and you just drag it like that. And then you would go to make unique. And you would also want to find out where the loop is. There's no loop because this is the game over track, but if there was a loop, you'd want to find out where it is, trim it down to the loop, to one loop, and then press make unique. But we don't need to do any of that. I'm going to show actually a good example of a song that does have to do that. This one doesn't have a loop. I don't know what this is. Let's find one with a loop. This one has a loop. I don't even know what this is, but basically you want to remove this thing because this is going to throw off the bars. I don't even know why this is here. So it looks like the loop starts this one's really a mess. So you kind of have to suppose where the loop starts. Well, first of all, let's remove the space. See the space here? So you go and you take it into the playlist, and you already said 1/4 of a step. Now you go and remove that space. This one has more than 1/4 of a step. So let's look at what bar it loops at. Now we see this formation here. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. So it looks like there's 4 bars extra right here. And then there's 4 bars right here, and that's whenever it loops. So 32, I would say, is the loop point. So we want to go trim it down to 32. Let me put the snap back to beat so I can be perfectly in time. Now we move this back. And we say, well, actually, let's do this. So now we say make unique, and we should end up with one loop of a song that is perfectly in time with the beats. It should line up with this grid right here. So now when you loop it, you have to know that it cuts off right here, and there's an intro. It's not just like perfectly looping. there's an intro that you have to cut off here. So we know that it starts off where this line right here is. It kind of starts off here. And then I think this is the ship music. So it kind of starts right here actually at 9. And so when you loop it, you go and you cut it off. You duplicate it, Control B, and then you go, I'm going to move the snap to a bar. Take off 9, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then that should be where it loops. And then you go and you take another loop and I think this is the last one. Go and you take another loop and you trim it down to 8 bars. So 1, 2, because this is where the song fades out. This will be where the song fades out. You go and you take it, count 8 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you go and trim it down to that. And then this will be like for after you finish the song. You go and you right click, create automation clip on master volume, and you go give it a little fade in, because all the tracks have a little fade in if they're level themes. Give it about 20% of a fade in, and then you go to the end, that last where it loops over again, and you take it all the way down so that it'll just fade out like that. So now I'm going to go back to the game over. That was just to show you how to process the blueprint. Now we have the game over tune, which is already like you don't need to do anything except start. So we go to our first channel, which see, these are all the 8 channels right here. First channel corresponds to this one right here. Now we see, what is that? That's okay, that's the bride sample. We can tell pretty much. So we go to, where is it? This is where you just have to know where. Let's say this is it. I'm not actually sure if that's the one, but so you go and you copy, go to a new pattern and paste it. Now that sounds good. It's actually probably not the same sample. It is. Probably this one. Now this one has a loop, so you want to go to the volume envelope and take everything down except for the so decay is where it fades out. So you don't want any attack. Attack is fade in. You never use hold. Sustain means that it stays with the note. So you want decay, you want it to fade out. So you do that. Now the next part is let's check out what the next part is after that. That's the harp, so that's this right here. And now the first thing you can tell is that there are notes, the same notes are repeated again in front of here. You want, if for this to show up, you want to do helpers in ghost channels. Make sure this is enabled, because that's what's going to show you the other channels right here. So this tells me that there's another, see the notes are repeated again before it. That means this is a delay track right here. And the real thing is right here. So you want to copy this. And paste it at the end of this. Which, well, first we have to get the harp sample. Let's see. Find the one that sounds like it. And put it all the way over here. Now, the original one has a decay. Like it, normally this is a harp, so normally the there would be like a release, like it would be, but the Super Nintendo can't process that, but there would be if it could. So you want to give it some release, which means that it fades out after the note is let go. So, and if you put it all the way up, it's just gonna, even if I still let the note go, and it's still gonna do that. But we don't want that much, so let's play it like that. And just play with it. Like, now I see it, I think it needs a little less decay. It's an art, so you just play with it. There we go. And then, now we already know that there was a delay track on this, so how big is the delay track? Let's see, it's, how much space is between it? So, let's take a step. Actually, let's just listen to it. Let's find it in the track. So this is, the delay track is on the track 0, and then this is going to be that track, this third to last track. So you go and enable that, which is actually going to correspond to 5, even though it says 6, because this one starts at 0, that one starts at 1. So you go and you take those. Okay, so now we need a delay track that sounds like that. So to put delay on it, we go to where it says track right here, and it'll automatically give it a mixer track. So it'll route it to this right here, and you can put effects on it now. So go to Fruity Delay 3 and give it half the signal. That's how much delay, how strong the delay track is going to be, how loud it is. And then there's how much level, which is how much echoes there are. So we want to turn that down a bit. And the timing, which you can see up in the right-hand corner, left-hand corner here, when I change it, it's going to say how many steps. So that's 2 steps right there. Let's hear how that sounds. Whoops. It's in this pattern, pattern 2. Okay, it's less than that, so let's go to 1. Let's see how that compares. I think it's less than that. Let's see. How about 36 of a step? less sounds about right. So that's one channel down. Now you go channel by channel. So we go to the next one. That's the mute trumpet, so grab it. And I happen to know that it's the BRS and Trump. Alright, so I usually put it under track 2 because that's where it lives. So let's see how long that rings out for. Alright, and oh, one thing I forgot is panning. So the panning will show in this knob right here. This is the panning knob for every channel, and it'll be automated in the track blueprint. So I don't know what this is all about right here, but if there's an automation like this, I just copy it and paste it in the channel that it goes in. So now the cymbal will have the same panning. Check it out. And when it changes, oh, that's for the harp. So I can just cut this and then just leave the channel like this, and paste it over here. Oops. There we go. And when you do the delay track, you always want to do, a lot of times, let's listen to that delay track again. So look at the panning on there. The panning show like they're panned in the opposite direction. So you want to do ping pong delay. So which means that every time it echoes, the stereo swaps so that it swaps the pan. There you go. That's much more of like a wide stereo kind of a delay track. Makes it feel like it's all over the place. So now back to the trumpet. You want to go and copy all this. This is all the trumpet right here. So we go to new pattern, pattern 3, and we say paste it here. And let's listen to that. Now it needs the envelope, which means that it has a little bit of fade out. It fades out as it goes on. Alright, and so I always like to leave a little bit of release here just so that it kind of feels like it's not starting and stopping so suddenly. You can hear the difference. It's a subtle difference, but it'll make a difference. Let's listen to that one final time. Oh, this doesn't even fade out at all, which is weird. Just sustains. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Now, next track. That is the strings from the wave station. Let me put this down so that it's under channel 3. So this is pretty much all the same thing. So I'm just going to copy Control C and paste it in a new channel. Now let me see if there's some fade out on that I need to be aware of. Yeah, see, there's fade out right here. So let's earball that. And then give it a little bit of release so that it feels like it drags on. Let's you can set it, right click and set it to a certain amount of steps. I'm gonna set it to 16. I think that's about it. It also has some attack, because you know it's not so plucky as I have it. There you go. And there's a little bit less decay than is in the when I have it. Alright, and that's that. Let's check the panning on that. Also the panning on the trumpet, because I always forget that. So this is it has, see, it's panned to the right, so I can just copy. It stays the same, so I can just copy. I think it stays the same. Let's check. Okay, so see that it starts out on the left and it changes to the right. So I'm gonna copy that automation and paste it to the trumpet's pan track. So it switches places after that. Now, let's check the panning on the strings. It stays middle. Yep, stays middle the whole time. Stays middle the whole time, so we don't have to do anything. Next track is... Look, this is an echo track, because it's got the same... Well, actually, I think the other one was an echo track. Yeah, I copied the wrong one. So I'm just going to delete that and paste the new one. And also paste the new pan track, because the new pan track is going to be different. So now that the next one is the delay track on that. So I'm not gonna, once again, I'm not gonna copy it. I'm just going to give it a mixer track and put delay on it myself. Oh, one thing I forgot about that I like to do with the delay tracks is give it some diffusion. So put these all up at 12 o'clock and a little bit of cutoff too, so it muffles it kind of. So that'll be that. That's pretty much the same procedure I do So I'll show you that again. Usually the delays on this come out to be 1 by 24 or 25 is basically the same thing, and then ping pong, and then take it down to about this right here, and then cut off, take it down a little bit, 50% signal, 12 o'clock diffusion and spread, and let's hear that sounds. Wait, forgot to. Now let's check if that sounds all right. That's really loud. I'm not sure about that, so let's look at it in the editors. Let's see how much space there is from this one to that one. So this should be it right here. See, this grid space right here is 1 step. So there's a little more than 1 step. It's like a step and a third, so to speak. So that's what the ratio means. The 1 over here is a step, the number, and then there's a colon, and then there's a portion of a step. So 1, and let's say 10, 9, 11. Perfect. Now let's move on to the next one. This SBC tool will freeze on you sometimes. Just have to open everything up again. And 50. Okay, that's another layer of strings. So I'm just going to copy it in the same Control C, the same pattern as the regular strings so they can be with each other. And then paste. So let's see if there's any panning on that one. There shouldn't be because the other one wasn't panned. Nope, center. So now the next track is, these are those harp notes. So let's copy those to the same spot that we did before, except let's not copy the delay track because we already did that, and let's copy it into the same. Let's put it with its other one. All right. And actually, I want this symbol to be alone, so let's put it in a new track. That way we can have the whole harp in one track. And I know there's not a delay track for this one, but we're going to keep it with delay anyway, because that's probably what Mr. Wise would have done, because he didn't have enough. He just didn't have enough channels to put a delay track on it. So next track is, let's see, I don't know what this one's going to be. The bass. So let's go and get, actually I'm going to leave that playing so we can hear. So let's copy that, and it looks like that, let's see, no pan on it, so let's give it its own track and paste. Huh, I thought I copied it right. Now it needs to fade out, so let's go to sustain 0. Make sure it says 0 up here. And then we're working with, this is a sound font player, so it's going to be a little bit different, but the concept is the same: attack, decay, sustain, release. So let's go to decay and put it up and adjust it based on what we need to hear. Actually, I think that sounds pretty perfect right there. Yeah. Lucky shot. So I'm not going to give it any release because it's a bass track, and bass is kind of supposed to be start and stop. But yeah, and it's also got a really strong pluck to it. I don't know if we want that. Let's listen to it. Yeah, it's a little bit too strong. So let's filter and cut it off. This is going to muffle it. So, oh wait, it doesn't work for the, no, this is the wrong thing, Dilly. So here we go, mod X, let's cut off. There we go. That sounds about right. And then let's see what the last track is. It's more strings, so let's just go and copy that. Control C. Control V. So there's all the strings right there. Okay, so now that it's complete, all we need to do is put it together. So you go and take your tracks one by one and place them into the playlist. And that's it. So let's hear that all together. This is the big reveal. Okay, what do we notice about that? First off, the trumpet is really sharp, so let's muffle it a bit with the mod X. Now it could be a little louder, so let's pull it up. Alright, and let's listen to that all together with the original track and see what that sounds like. Now the first thing I notice is that the trumpet's notes should be a little shorter, and they are kind of shorter in Super Nintendo. So we're gonna do that just because it sounds better. Yeah, shorten the notes a bit. Whoa, That's not supposed to happen. Oh, I think I made one too short. Yeah, if you make it too short, it just sustains. Yeah, there we go. Make it a little longer. Doesn't need to be that short, because those really short notes are like bumming me out. Okay, and let's see, what else do we notice? That sounds pretty right. Now let's listen to each track individually and see if anything sticks out. I wonder if there should be any reverb on that. There should be. It has some reverb on it already. So let's throw... It's already in a mixer track, so let's go and throw some reverb on that. Let's put it above the delay. Dimension plus 64. You can use fruit. I like to use fruit convolver sometimes too, so I'll use that for the sake of this, because that's a good one. Now we don't want that much, so we can take down the wet signal. Now I kind of like that long tail, because if you think about it, when you're seeing the game over screen, they're in like a dungeon, so it'd probably be pretty echoey, and it kind of gives it that sense of there's like nowhere to go. So yeah, that's the only reason I'd keep it that long. So now let's go through the next track and say... See if there's any reverb on that. There is. So let's go and say, we already have a mixer track for it. Let's go and say that convolves and then take it down. That sounds good. Everything pretty much sounds good here so far without any effects. Let's see. Sounds good. Now this one I think sounds a little bit like there's too much low end and not enough high end, so let's give it a mixer track and put an exciter on it, which just distorts the high end or the low end. Actually no, let's just raise the high end. And let's give it a high pass, like cut off all the low ends. Let's give it a little bit of stereo separation. And let's not. I do think it should have, yeah, it should have some reverb as well. I want to give that bass a little more punch, so let's go and distort it with saturation knob. Now, FL doesn't come with this one, so for a alternative, you could use wave shaper and then just drag this up. Yeah. And that sounds pretty perfect. Last thing we're going to do is master it, which you take Maximus, and then you go and you say, this is going to compress the low end and high and the middle independently. So you go and you play it, and you want to set the this one right here to the top, to the peak of whatever it is, of whatever is playing. So you go, you set this one to pretty much not the peak, and then you want to set the bottom, like where it's all turns one color, to right here. So what this is going to do, it's going to lessen the blow of what's right here, the punch. It's going to make it where the wave fits more nicely together. So let's do the same for this, for the middle. And then we don't need to do it for the high, because there's like not much highs. The highs are what's supposed to snap like that. You're supposed to hear that snap right there. Now look, we want this whole, now that it's compressed, it's got some space, we want it all to be up to 0 dB. This is the loudest it can go. So we take a limiter, and after, make sure it's after the one, and then you go to stretch the gain until you see it come up here. Now, there's one more thing I want to do, is do what's called mid-side compression, mid-side EQ, where you take Patcher, and I have this preset that I made where it splits the stereo and mono channels, and then it raises the highs on the mono channel. So that's going to make everything sound a little more like it's open, like it's going to enhance the highs. Watch. Now this doesn't need, so this is a bit extreme, so let's take it down. See how that really just opens up everything, but I don't think we need the EQ on that cymbal anymore. I think we can take down those highs. And that's pretty much that. That's how you restore a DK track.